thanks. But you're supposed to uh, come through the township officer.
We're live on
I'm
YouTube.
sorry. I did mention to Peter Thompson that we were coming, but I've obviously slipped up there, so I apologise, Nassim.
No problem.
Okay.
Chairs, we're live on YouTube. You can start the meeting.
Okay. Right. My name's Councillor Sean O'Neill. I'm the chair of the Rochdale North Township. Have we any apologies for absence? No?
Yes, Councillor Wazir Shah.
Right.
Councillor Shah, and I've received no other apologies, Chair.
Okay. Well, I've got all the officers and John Blundell's here, the portfolio holder as well for the supplementary planning document item. Okay, minutes of the previous meeting held on the 10th of November. Anybody want to raise those? Raise any issues on those? No? Can we approve those minutes? Someone?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the seconder, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
James
Thank,
Johnson.
thank you. Declarations of interest. I haven't got any. Urgent items of business. No?
No urgent items, Chair.
Good.
Okay. Right. Well, it's on the agenda that we have open forum. I know somebody's got the mic on. If you're not, just put your mic on when you're speaking. Otherwise, we're going to get background noise. Okay. Yeah, we've got there is an item open forum. The protocol is that whoever's coming to open forum contacts the township officer and usually brings in whatever they wish to speak to. I have spoken to Robin prior to this meeting, and I did invite. I did mention that he could come to the open forum, but I was hoping he would actually, ask the township officer. Then we know where we are with it. But failing that, I'll give you 5 minutes, Robin, just to bring what issue you want to bring. Is it Robin going to speak, or what, or Mark? You're gonna have to put your mic on, Robin. Mike, can't hear you. Put your mic on.
Sorry, yes, doing it. I've done it now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I
you heard all that.
put myself on mute to be safe.
I'm going to give you
And I couldn't
five
unmute
minutes.
myself quick enough. Thank you, Chair. That was more than we'll need. Basically, you have the SPD, and we welcome the new SPD because it does remove College Bank and environs from the original SPD, which covered Lower Falinge and College Bank. So we welcome that. But there are items on the SPD document itself which refer to those old consultations, and we believe that the SPD will be a much more concise document to deal with Lower Falinge if those items are off. And the items particularly that we're looking at are in participation and consultation. It's delete paragraph 2.1 and then amend paragraph 2.2 to be more specific. To say a draft SPD for a wider area was produced and consulted on in 2019. However, as a result of comments raised during consultation of the SPD, it was decided that the document would be amended to remove College Bank and environs from the document before consultation was undertaken on a revised document. Then the rest of section 2, which is all the details of that consultation 2.3 to 2.19. and the old irrelevant appendices, pages 9 to 23, should also be removed. And then the final one is page 34, paragraph 1.4. The reason I'm asking that, Chair, and I have sent a letter to all members accordingly. I'll copy you in, John, afterwards, happily. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you'd be here. Is that that consultation was based on RBH getting a sum of money to look at the two
Robin.
estates.
Robin, it's okay if I just interject for 1 minute? Yeah, is that
Sorry,
okay?
sorry, John.
I
Sorry,
don't,
John.
we're having, hang on a minute, hang on. I've said I'll give you 5 minutes, yeah? And yeah, I'll give you 5 minutes. So I know that John said he wants to come in after that, so I'll allow that.
I don't mind John
Because
coming in now, Chair. if that helps.
This, what you're talking about is a draft supplementary planning document, right? And I understand your concerns, and it will be discussed when it comes up on the item that's on the agenda. But you saying take this off, we'll listen to it, but it's actually going out for consultation. So it is a draft. It isn't the finished article. So
I realise that, Chair, but
you know,
what I was
that's what
saying,
we're here for. But you know, it's going to go out for consultation, and
Yeah.
that's all we're really saying, that it's going to go out for consultation. We're not
what I was going to
determining.
conclude in my
We're
5
not
minutes.
determining what you're going to take out. You know, what you think should be in and what you think should be out.
Can I just offer
That's not what we're
something?
here for.
Can I offer something, please? That I was going. Robin did
Well,
say I could talk,
let me just go back. Let me just come back to the 5 minutes. You must have had about 2, so carry on.
Okay, basically there was a grant given to RBH. It was about £500,000, and Whitehall determines with that money, and they did it in all places all over the country. Exactly the same consultation methods had to be gone through: compare, contrast, do little, do more, do much more, or whatever the words were. Had to go through, and they went through all that consultation. But at the end of the day, they took RBH took no notice whatsoever of the results. They'd done the job they had to do, and then they made their own decisions, which in College Bank's case was to drop the Big Four, which nobody had asked for at all. And in Lower Failings, there's various other things. What I'm saying is that's an outdated piece of work, and the SPD going out would, in my view, be a far better, clearer SPD without those items I've mentioned in it. I'm quite happy now, Chair, to give way to John, who's the portfolio holder.
I was just going to say, Robin.
Okay, John. See if you can answer that for us.
Well, so all I was going to do is, all I was going to say is, we was getting into a lot of detail. That's why I said, is it okay if it's Jeff for just a moment? And I think, you know, Robin's right. You know, we do want to get the detail right in the document, but whether this is the right forum. So I was going to offer him a meeting with me and the head planner who sat there, although we are keeping 2 meters distance. But we had multiple meetings basically to make sure that we get all these finer points down, you know, taking out the document if need be. We understand you know, you should have strong feelings about this. Obviously, you live there. And we do want to listen to what you're saying, but I think it's probably better if I meet you privately after the meeting and we could run through all these finer points and we can pick them up there.
That sounds a reasonable compromise, Chair.
Okay.
Can I also say, could Mark Slater accompany me in that meeting?
Yes.
Okay, well, if you want to email us and we'll set it up. Are we looking at a Zoom, John? Yes. It seems to me it's most sensible, doesn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
Mark, are you happy with that? I can't hear you, Mark. You're mute.
Okay, you can discuss it with him after. He can hear what's going on.
Oh, you're okay with that, Mark?
Okay.
Could I add anything, Chair, to what Robin said? Just very briefly.
Very briefly.
Okay. It's our contention that this is being presented to the committee for review, and I take the point that it's a draft document, this, but in 2.2 it says that College Bank's been taken out, and then the rest of the document is full of mentions of College Bank. For the committee to consider a draft SPD for Lower Fairlinge and to be able to consider it clearly, any mention of College Bank should be withdrawn from this document and then given to the committee to review as an SPD for Lower Fairlinge. That's our contention. It needs redrawing.
Well, right.
That's it.
That's fine, because like you said, it is a draft, and the recommendation is for it to go out to consultation. We're not actually discussing the the substance of the document.
It will come back, Chair. I want to make that point now. It will,
yeah.
When the consultation's happened, it'll come back.
So the officer will present that, and people will may want to make comments when we get to that one.
Chair, can I come in, Chair, please?
Okay, yeah. Faisal.
I think the portfolio holders made very good suggestions. So if we can discuss this with Robin and the other resident, and then bring them suggestions to the final draft or final recommendation, I think that will be great.
Okay. Right. I can't see anyone else.
Chair, just
open forum.
What, Chair?
Yeah.
Can I say, I've got my comment, and when we come to the item.
Yeah.
Or are we going to go to the item, aren't we, or are we taking it now?
No, we'll go to the item as agended on the.
That's fine. I'll make
tonight's.
my representations then. Thank you.
Yeah. Everybody can have a turn then. There's nobody else, is there, on for open forum? Okay.
No, that's everyone, Chair.
Just be mindful, members, when you've spoken to anybody and that they need to apply to come to the open forum, through the Township. I don't know how you do it through Zoom, to be perfectly honest, but there you are.
No, sorry, Chair.
And then we're better prepared. But we do have the officers here for
I apologise, Chair. I should have known better. My experience, but it's the Zoom thing that gets me.
Okay, we're all new to Zoom. It's all a new experience for us all. Okay, which brings me to using my phone for the agenda. To the next item, which is Link for Life, and we've got a presentation from Andy King. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. No, there's no presentation. You can rest easy. We're not going to bombard you with PowerPoint tonight. Thank you for the time. I really wanted to ask or make an offer to you and ask a favour, to be honest, in twofold. I'm sure you'll understand that Link for Life, we've been closed now. It'll be 12 months on and off next month, unbelievably. And we've been doing a lot of things during that time to support the community as best we can, both in person, particularly during the first lockdown, and online, where we've been doing all sorts of things for home education, etc., to support the community. And I suppose through this period, we've realised that we thought we were pretty close to the community before COVID, and it's a bit of a realisation for ourselves that that we weren't as close as we need to be, particularly when we look at creating a place and being really responsive to the community, and taking the mantra of nothing for us without us, that type of thing. So we've thought long and hard how we can address that and actually be better at being responsive to the community's needs as they change. And we've got some thoughts of our own about that, but to really understand how we can be more diverse, more inclusive in our work going forward. So one of the things we discussed with our board, where we have some of our trustees as members, was actually we sometimes come to the township meetings. Normally when there's a problem, we get asked to come along and explain something or to go from there. And we thought that's wrong, really. So going forward, the first thing I'd like to do is offer, it won't always be me, you'll be glad to hear, but we'd like to have our relevant staff attend this meeting or be make it known to you that we're very willing to come and to either report in, but probably more importantly is to learn what are the issues that we can help on. And I'll just give you a flavour of that. I mean, we do things like #Thrive. We provide the physical activity elements of the #Thrive program, which is for those children and young people who are not going to CAMS, but are perhaps on their way there. So we are doing this early tool and providing some support there. Not everybody knows that we do that as a charity. Equally, we are commissioned to provide the Mentally Healthy Schools initiative across all the schools in the borough, and we will be on behalf of the council running the Holiday Hunger, if you like, the Fit and Fed Marcus Rashford type thing. And again, not everybody knows we do those things. And then I could go on to what we do at Touchstones with a number of activities. So there's two things. One, we'd like to understand how we can better engage the community, and would be looking for members to perhaps suggest ways we can do that in a better way than we've done before, but also to be it's an open offer for us to attend this meeting or relevant sub meetings if that felt more appropriate to get into some more detail. Then we'd be very, very keen to do that. And some of the things we want to do better on would, as I said already, but more diverse. We'd like to get a workforce that is more representative of the community. We have in some elements of our business got that, but in particularly the leisure centres we haven't. So we'd like to work with you on how we do that. We'd like to be more environmentally aware. Again, we've made some big strides on that, but to support the council and GM on the dates to be carbon neutral, there's definitely more things we can do there. But really, we just want to understand how we can help people be happier and healthier going forward, utilising the assets that we've got at our disposal and other assets that we can pull in for the borough as well through some of the work we do both regionally and nationally. So that was the ask for tonight. I'm very happy to give an update as much as you like on where we are with Link for Life overall, but that was the purpose of asking for some of your time tonight, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks for the offer. I'm sure we'll take the offer up. We're all interested in our well-being and our residents' well-being. I don't know how we're going to program that in, whether we do it on a quarterly basis or something like that, bearing in mind there's 5 townships. Yeah,
that's fine.
I think we'll have to have a discussion with governance on that. Are there any? I'll ask if anybody wants to ask you any questions. Does anybody want to? Any questions for Andy about his offer? We all understand that. There we are. We've got one. We've got Wendy Cox. Councillor Wendy Cox.
It's not really a question, but I'm delighted to hear about your, thank you, Chair. I'm delighted to hear about your commitment to the climate emergency for the borough. We have a working group and a steering group, and I'm sure there's lots we can talk about on that front, but I welcome that very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. Yeah, I was on the inaugural working group for that agenda, so we're very keen to make sure that we pick up on that, because basically leisure centres can be one of the biggest users of energy as well. So we've done a lot of work on it, but there's definitely more we can do. So yeah, we're very keen to get involved in that.
Okay, anybody else want to make a comment or ask a question?
I just thank Andy for the offer, basically, just as you've done, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we all understand it's all closed at the moment, and it is a struggle, and we hope that you are getting the assistance to sort of stay neutral as you would be, and
we
then
are, Chair. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get. And it sounds quite exciting that you'll implement the some of the sustainability issues that surround leisure centres and large places that need heating, etc. So we'll look forward to hearing all that. Okay, if there's nothing else, thanks for coming along, Andy. You can stay if you
Very
want.
welcome. No, I'll dive off. Thank you very much.
Or you can
see you soon.
Go back to, okay. Thank you. So next is the supplementary supplementary planning document. So initially, did you want to present it first, John?
Well, I just wanted to make
John
a couple
Lundell?
of comments. I just wanted to make a couple of comments basically that the officers can. I did anticipate that. Obviously, Robin has been leading the charge on trying to save College Bank, and the council's made several remarks at full council. So I just wanted to make a couple of points about this document. It definitely doesn't include College Bank. So obviously, a lot of you will have read it or skimmed it or have spoken about it. But just for the public watching, this isn't going to give the council any powers over College Bank, and it isn't really working with Rochdale Borough-wide housing on the demolition of College Bank. And that's basically because as portfolio holder wasn't happy with that, given the views expressed by council and a lot of the public. But we're not. RBH is no longer a part of the council. They're still allowed to have their own plans. And we want, as the main social housing provider, we do want them to expand their operation in the borough, because the party believe in, and the council believes in, more affordable homes that RBH want to deliver. They've got a business plan to deliver 100 homes a year. So we do want to help them with that, and that's why we've sought to work collaboratively with RBH on this SPD for Lower Fairlinge. We did invite, I asked Rochdale Borough-wide Housing to come tonight to talk about this SPD, purely because if this was another developer and they was coming forward with wanting to build out a site like this, I would expect that developer to actually consult with the members, because this is the way it's done through the council. But unfortunately, they chose not to come, which I do think is disheartening. But nonetheless, Rochdale Council wants Lower Fairlinge to be developed to provide affordable homes and to provide, to generate a lot of investment in an area just north of our town centre. So I just wanted to reiterate those points. I do think that it should go into consultation as it is. I take on board the points that Robin's made and the other gentleman, I forget his name. He'll come back to me in a more. Mark. I take their points on board, and during that consultation, we will have a meeting. I'll have a meeting with Robin and Mark, and we can go through his points and make sure they're put in during the consultation. And where we agree, and I'm sure we will agree on the points raised, we'll amend the document, and that will come back to Township after the consultation and after those amendments have been made. Do you want to come in now, Wayne, and just talk about the SPD a bit?
Well, hang on, there might be some questions for you from some of the members.
Chair, it may be more appropriate after Wayne's had a go, but just at this moment in time, I just wanted to say that I did read the document again tonight before the meeting, and it does allude to, and probably highlighted by the fact that I'd read this letter or the leaflet from the Save the Seven Sisters group that College Bank is referred to in the document, and it probably is an officer's way of highlighting where the two are, and they are very close together, but it can be a bit confusing for people who are not familiar with the site. So I think, John's offered his services, and I won't dwell too hardly on it. I did have preconceived words that I wanted to use, and I'm going to put a lid on that. But basically, John has offered, we leave it in the good way. Robin and Mark will articulate themselves eloquently, and I'm sure we can reach it. It is actually, I don't know, I see it as an offer of help and support to clarify the document before it goes out to consultation. If the changes were made and if it was acceptable, that would be appreciated. In the long run, I think it will save time. Thank you.
Okay. If nobody else wants to ask John anything, I'll introduce Wayne Poole, who's now going to speak about this document.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, thanks, Chair. Well, this report, as you're probably aware, seeks approval to consult on a draft supplementary planning document that's been produced for the Lower Falinge area. Previous work done has developed a vision for this neighbourhood, which seeks to deliver high quality, attractive neighbourhood, providing a choice of quality housing alongside improved access, open space, and other associated infrastructure. The SPD sections provide more details in terms of the key requirements and priorities, including development principles, design, transport, access, with particular key priorities set out in the SPD to ensure that through improved design and accessibility, the Lower Falinge area relates better to the town centre, which I think was a key issue that has come out from previous discussions. The delivery of this will also complement the ongoing regeneration of the town centre, which I think has previously been mentioned, provide an attractive location for existing and future residents in a sustainable location, obviously adjacent to the town centre. The advantage of an SPD in planning terms is to guide the ongoing development in a comprehensive and coordinated way. And as noted in the report, will be a material consideration in future plan applications. It'll assist with site assembly, and will also support future bids for funding and investment, which I think has also been referred to. SPDs are a useful planning tool, which expand on existing planning policy and have and are being developed in other parts of the township. For example, they've previously been done in relation to housing market renewal areas, and are also being developed in relation to some of the proposals around station gateways, for example. The main objectives, to be honest, of all SPDs in those regards, the area SPDs, is to try and deliver high quality development and create better places and neighbourhoods. As previously mentioned, this draft will be consulted on for at least 4 weeks. Those are the regulations that consulted for at least 4 weeks. But obviously, if we can do more than that, we can do that. But the idea obviously was to carry out the consultation as soon as possible, practically after the committee meeting, if subject to it being approved. Any comments received during the consultation will be considered carefully, and any appropriate changes made before the final version is brought back to members for adoption. So that's all I have to say, Chair, in relation to the SPD.
Okay, thanks, Wayne. Yeah, you just touched on, it does say 4 weeks. I want to propose that it's longer than 4 weeks. That seems a bare minimum. Something in the region of 6 weeks, I think, would be a little more doable. What we don't want is people coming back and saying, well, we've only just heard of this. You know, we haven't had time to really discuss it and look at the impact on other areas, etc. So could we have a look at extending that consultation period to 6 weeks?
Yes, I mean, we're looking to, I mean, you know, like I say, subject to approval. I mean, we can start the consultation, you know, relatively quickly. I mean, I think the idea is if we could start, for example, early next week or even later this week, we would get potentially up to, you know, close to 6 weeks in before I think PERD is set for around the 29th of March. So, you know, obviously we could give as long as possible, but there's a bit of a constraint there, obviously towards the end of March. But yeah, it was always the intention to set the period for as long as practically possible. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Wayne? I can see Rachel's got her hand up. Go ahead, Rachel.
Thank you, Chair. Wayne, will the consultation go out before Councillor Blundell and Mark and Robin have made the amendments, or will it go out after the amendments have been made?
I think for
me that.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
No, she did ask you. She did ask you, but it's more a question for me, I think. Basically, I don't think that's going to be practical, Councillor Massett. I think what we're going to probably have to do is, I personally think we put it out is the document as it is, and we can pick up the points that they raised as part of the consultation. Kind of as the chair said, that is kind of the point of the consultation, is that you seek people's views of this draft. So I don't see the point of seeking people's views before we then go to then try and seek people's views through a consultation. It seems, although Robin has come, other people may also want to write in. So I think we consult on the draft as is, we can make the amendments that we've spoken about, and then it can come back, and that's a better and proper route than having a meeting with just two individuals, although we will meet those two individuals. I think it's only fair that we give everybody the same crack of the whip through a formal process.
Just want to make sure the public know exactly what they're consulting upon. That's all, that it's clear and there's nothing that obviously they're missing.
Okay. Anybody else want to say anything?
Yes, Chair. Thank you very much.
Hilton,
Yeah, I've read the document, and obviously with the large chunk of it being taken away, it does appear very much as a truncated SPD, and not being fully conversant with the SPDs. Does it not take into the views and feelings of people that are involved? I'm sure it'll be a smoother transition from the town centre to Lower Failing and vice versa. But what about people? That's what we're after, taking care of people. And I don't honestly feel that either document fully took into account the views and feelings of the people. And even in the latest one, Wayne, your document, the issue about equality impact assessments, you allude to and touch on the various groups. However, the views, how they would impact. Take, for example, people with mental health issues and the aged. And access for the aged is, I'm sure, would be a bit easier. But what are they going through? How are they going to cope with the change? Is that the remit of an SPD, or should we not be talking another language and getting across to groups that are hard to reach? The various times and opportunity people have had, it hasn't reached majority of the people. And we are picking up the pieces now where clearance has already taken place, and next groups and next blocks that are coming up, people are very, very confused and frightened. It's their homes and the closest thing and the dearest thing that people actually have in life is accommodation and a roof over their heads, because they recognise that's their castle. And I feel somewhere we need to address that, and this probably will come out in the consultation. But again, those people that are vulnerable and needy may not actually come out and say, I know you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. I'm thinking, looking at imaginative ways and having time. 4 weeks, I agree with the chair. I think given previous consultations that have been had, etc., if we're not going to miss any sort of particular funding deadlines, then please do consider a longer period of consultation. And if we can encourage a better, more involved manner, how we can get more people involved. Because I think particularly the mental health issue is a live one, and that is featuring large, the aged as well. So I've waffled on a fair bit there, but if you can unravel and unpick it, there is a lot of stuff for us to consider. And you might turn around quickly and shoot me down and say, it's not the remit of the SPD. But then why cover the isms if it's not? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sultan. Very passionate there. I think I know where you are coming from, because there has been a lot of work done demolition and building in that area without this. Obviously, this is a supplementary. Well, it's a draft for a start, but it is a supplementary planning document. So it's in addition to any planning applications which goes through another route. So I don't know if you want to make any comment on that, Wayne. The only thing I'm skeptical of, people use this PERDA thing for lots of. I've used it myself, but I don't think PERDA should come into it at all. I don't know what the thinking of that is. You know, if you look at it, I think we should get our solicitor to clarify if PERDA is a barrier to us extending this consultation period. And I think we would be 6 weeks. 6 weeks would be within that. Within that. It's these deadlines that sometimes you can get wrapped up in these deadlines. We need to get this right. With all the controversy we've had in the past. So, what are your? If you want to answer, or make a comment about what Councillor Sultan Ali has said, Wayne, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, in terms, well, just to cover that in the PERDA, I mean that's just simply the advice we've kind of always had in relation to consultation. So I'm just following that. I'm not sure if it is any different, but that's the kind of guidance that generally is given in relation to these. In terms of the points made, I mean, obviously there has been an equality assessment kind of process gone through. I appreciate in any kind of, I suppose, regeneration, there's always issues and things that do come out, so some of which I suppose are planning related, some which aren't. I think ultimately that the objective of the SPD is to try and ensure that development, comes forward, in a more kind of, I suppose, sensitive way and delivering, higher quality environments. I think, a lot obviously about health and well-being and things like that are obviously key. And I think making people feel more connected, better access to higher quality environments, open spaces, I think is all part of that. Although acknowledge the point that people who are, potentially vulnerable or disconnected, that any change is unsettling. I think that's part of the course. But obviously that's a balance between kind of regeneration and then obviously maybe more other departments or sections are dealing with those issues, and picking those issues up. I mean, from a planning perspective, like I said, the objective for the SPD is trying to ensure, a high quality environment, creating a good quality neighbourhood that's better connected and provides that safety and access and movement that probably, as I think Councillor picked up himself, doesn't really exist there at the moment, especially in terms of accessibility. It is quite difficult. So they were just the points really to come back on that. But yeah, take those points and they may get picked up obviously through the consultation.
Okay. Anybody else want to make a comment?
Very quickly, not a dialogue, but just a wish. I don't know if you cover the issues, the numbers issue, Wayne, about how many we're going to lose and how many we're going to get. Yeah. It's a bigger debate, I know, but I just thought put it in there. Thank you. Number of homes.
Can I just finish up on what Wayne said, what Sultan's just... Basically, I think what we need to see the SPD as is it's a means in many ways of giving the council another set of tools to help develop out the area. So whether that be CPO guiding where the development's going, when plan applications come in, it means it's a bit more weighty. So all the things that Sultan's mentioned and Wayne's mentioned, the worry about College Bank, we're not handing any powers to RBH here. This is a council document and a council, it'll be a council policy, and it essentially gives us as members more power and more say over the direction of Lower Fairlinge. Now, as I've already said, the developer is going to be Rochdale Borough Wide Housing, and we want to work collaboratively with them to, to deliver what's going on. There's 400 homes in there, but all the concerns Sultan's raised. I take the point of view that Councillor Massey said about it's better if we can iron these things out, but at some stage we do have to put something out. But when this is done, this will mean that all the things that have been raised, the council's in a better position to deliver on. And that's why this document is really important, why it's important it goes out on Friday for, and as you said, Sean, I think it should be 6 weeks. I think it's got bugger all to do with Purda. And I think we just get it out there.
Okay then. It's the recommendation is that the draft SPD is approved for public consultation for a period of at least 4 weeks, but can we change that to 6 weeks? And to seek the views and comments of the public and key stakeholders. And then there's another addition to that, that the head of planning is given delegated authority subject to discussion with the portfolio holder to make any final amendments to the draft SPD prior to commencement of the formal consultation. So that's, we've talked about that with Robin and Mark having a meeting as well. So can we go with the recommendation?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah, I don't think we need to vote on it, do we? So we approve the recommendation. Yes.
Yes.
Great. I just wanted to add that used to be called the Memtall, that area around there. It was the Irish area, Irish immigrants, all lived in basically slums, back-to-back houses, and that's where my family came from originally. All these houses were built by John Bright to work in all these mills. Bit of history for you. They were all knocked down in the 60s and 70s, and hence you got College Bank and the flats all around Lower Fairlinge. But that's the end of the history lesson. Seems to be coming back round to us. Go on to the next item, which is the cut gate. Got Peter Gregory to introduce us with that. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, an apology. Paragraph 3.3 in this report is an error. So please please regard it as being deleted from this report. The report concerns the principle of a disposal of interest in land, which is a decision which sits with Cabinet or with the portfolio holder for finance if all ward councillors and township chair actively approve the proposal. The decision here currently sits with Cabinet, as not all the ward councillors have given their approval. Therefore, the report is not presented to you for a decision. It is presented in order to obtain the view of the committee, which can then be presented to Cabinet or to the portfolio holder for finance as part of their consideration for the final decision. Just going on to the content of the report itself, the council does not own Cutgate Shopping Centre, nor any part of it. However, maintenance responsibility for substantial areas of the car park and of the landscaping sits with the council by virtue of a deed of dedication, which the council entered into in the 1970s, in exchange for which the public could have unrestricted use of the car parking area. As it is an unregulated car park, maintenance responsibility by council decision sits with the Township Committee. So there will be ongoing repair obligations and associated liabilities into the future if nothing changes. And I have attempted to set out the likely scenarios in the report. Following the last time Township was asked to fund repairs, I was asked to consider the options available in respect of this site, and there are two. Firstly, we can maintain the status quo and continue to take responsibility for the car park, in which case the public will continue to be able to enjoy unrestricted use of it, or we can surrender the dedication to public use by negotiation with the owner. And I have agreed provisionally terms for that surrender of the dedication, if that is what the council would like to do. I would like you as a committee to decide which of those options you would like the council to pursue, which I will then present to cabinet to make a final, or to the portfolio holder to make a final decision on. But also I need you to say, if you do not wish to surrender the dedication to public use, I'm asking you to advise whether you are willing to commit to funding the future maintenance costs of this car park as a township committee. I have in the report attempted to be full and frank about all the possible scenarios and implications of the surrender or the retention of the deed of dedication. I tried to be as transparent as I possibly could. It is my view that the owners of the precinct would not want to do anything with that car park in terms of restrictions that would in any way inconvenience shoppers. It's not in their interests to increase the restrictions on shoppers using the car park, because they want to increase footfall through those shops. That will then have a positive impact on the rent they can charge. But there is potentially a negative implication on, I suspect, members of the community who habitually park in that car park. I don't know how many there are, but clearly from my observations, and I pass there quite often, there are cars that park in there overnight. It is possible that some residents or other local businesses outside the precinct might be inconvenienced if the owners decide they're going to impose restrictions on use. I would say imposing restrictions on use of the car park is not at all unusual. I can think of two precincts in Rochdale, Milnrow and Bamford where such restrictions exist, time restrictions. Bamford has introduced theirs fairly recently. I think it's a 2-hour maximum wait. Milnrow is a 1-hour maximum wait. It is a natural thing to do because they want to protect the position of their shoppers. But it does obviously have an impact potentially on other people who may want to park there casually. I'll leave it there. I think the other detail is in the report, including costs and so forth. So I'll open it out to questions for you.
Okay, thanks very much, Peter. Does anybody want to ask Peter a question or make a comment? No.
Yeah, can I make a comment, please, Chair? Okay,
Faisal. And that's all. Rachel put her hand up.
Yes.
Just at the last minute there.
Yeah, I think this is just about 500 yards from where I live, and I use this quite frequent. And also as a ward councillor, we just pass that area many times. And every time we pass that or we go in the car park, it's full of potholes. The work is done sometime by council, to fill this, repair this up. I think this should have been implemented long time ago, to save the cost for unnecessary costs, especially when there is no benefit for the council. And I fully support as a ward councillor, and I'm sure my other colleagues will speak as well. So I think we should let this approve this, or recommend this to the cabinet, and we should really give the control over to the owners. And even if they want to put any restriction, 1 hour, 2 hour, like Peter said, is quite normal. So I'm quite happy with this, Chair, and I fully support this, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Faisal. Rachel, you want to come in? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I don't agree with my ward colleague. I can't agree with the proposal. In my assessment, there is too much potential impact on the residents in my community. The car park, it's used by residents that visit the shops, the doctor's surgery, the food outlets, visitors to the church, and various community groups that also use the church. It's used by people who even visit the dentist opposite. Should the landowner introduce time limits, just as we've recently seen, as Peter said, at the retail site in Bamford, people will then park outside the site, causing the council wider problems. On Edenfield Road, just one indiscriminately parked car will cause delays back through Scotland and up into Norden as well. No waiting restrictions on Edenfield Road. They were introduced in 2017, and it mentioned the car park as a suitable place to park for several properties. Should those residents not be able to park on here anymore, they will inevitably park elsewhere on Edenfield Road, again causing wider issues that will incur costs for the council to solve. I'm not satisfied that the Director of Economy has explored options as requested by Township and has settled too quickly on this one, which results in maximum loss to the community. There has been no consultation with tenants to see if they would be willing to contribute to maintenance, and seemingly no further options explored with the landowners to share the costs, alongside the sections that are not covered by the dedication. I'm particularly concerned about the mention in the report that the council is liable for insurance claims, as this surely remains the responsibility of the landowner, again giving them every reason to work cooperatively with the council on a sustainable maintenance plan. I'm also not being given yet the legal costs that the council will incur on this proposal, which I understand was my initial reluctance. Also, the landowner has now agreed to pay their own costs, but we still don't know, of course. That leaves us unanswered what the cost will be to the council. It could be relative to the cost we're being asked to consider. I'm also, Township has funded maintenance of several unadopted roads in the past. This car park also has community merit in the same way and is equally as deserving of funds. The loss of the car park to the community must be the last resort. I'm asking you to consider that if Cabinet cannot identify budget, I ask that our Township recommends further options and consultation is undertaken before this facility is lost forever, causing equally costly problems to other areas of my ward.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. Wendy, you wanted to come in?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this was one of the first potholes I ever pointed at in my campaign back in 2016 and has been repatched and repaired numerous times. The businesses do rely on it, as does the surgery and Cupgate Baptist. But the lack of access to alternative parking has meant that it is important to everybody in the community, but particularly to those businesses, because if their customers can't park, then there won't be any business there. I appreciate what Rachel has said and is in her standing up for the community and their access to it. But I also think that we have a responsibility to be fair in how we deal with things and how much we spend on them when it's not actually our land. I think unadopted roads and rights of way are a different kettle of fish, to be honest. But I know that the In Bloom people have been working really hard, and I've helped plant some of it myself, with the grass verge, which now has the bikes on it and makes it a more attractive place for people coming to shop in Cutgate. So while I'm not against this proposal, I do think it's a positive solution for the council. But I would be mindful of what the needs of the community are as well. I think we need to be sure of those that are being supported and encouraged and addressed as well. So thank you very much.
Okay, does anybody else want to speak on this? I'll just put my 2 pence in, because I was asked also, along with the ward councillors as chair, about this. Again, I've got a little bit of history with this. When I chaired the Rochdale Township, I'm sure Sultan had the same when he was doing it, and Cecile. They were always coming. It was an anomaly. First of all, all the car parks were given to the townships, and to no benefit whatsoever to any repairs come out of our precious funding. And even if one of the car parks was sold off, we weren't even consulted about it. We didn't see, the Township didn't see any of the any benefits from it or any money, and that's another car park back of Oldham Road. But yes, you're right about it being unadopted, but it's also it's unadopted and don't belong to us. So I don't know how it came about in the first place. This leasing, some kind of leasing arrangement, baffles me. Peter Gregory is the expert on this. He does point out it's the only arrangement of its kind within the borough. It's historic, and I'm aware of at least one insurance claim from somebody having an accident on that car park, which was paid through the council. And it was sometimes a co-op said, yeah, we'll help out and we'll pay for this and fill this in and you pay for this. And it just went on and on and on. And it came to be a bit of a money pit, for want of a better word. I understand Rachel's concerns, but I agree with the proposal that we dispose of it back to the people who actually own it.
Can I just come in as the cabinet member, please, sir?
Yeah.
So the reason this is here is this was raised with me as a cabinet member. I wanted to canvass the views of the township before I made any decision on it, because I didn't feel I kind of had an idea of what you all thought. I suppose the main concern that Councillor Massey's raised, is that there's a lack of parking in the area because of basically traffic restrictions that were put in place on the assumption that people will be able to park in this area. Would it then be helpful if, as part of us disposing of it, we ask Highways to look at this area to see what other parking provision that could be added? I don't like to create more problems, but it doesn't actually sound like that. Other than you and Faisal, Wendy and Rach, sorry, I'm using first names. So Rachel and Wendy didn't seem that in favour. So is it? Do we want to go back and look at other options, or are you just going to vote on it? I'm happy to do that if that's what people want.
Well, we're not going to vote on it because it hasn't been brought before us for a vote. We had a bit of a mini vote with it had to be all three councillors and the chair to agree for the disposal, and that's why it's come back to us. But it's going to be a cabinet decision. So our views, especially Rachel's, need to be taken into account when cabinet makes a decision. I saw a few hands go up there. Let me have a look. Rachel, go ahead. Did you put your hand up, Sultan?
I did.
Right, sorry, you can.
Thank you.
Speak after.
I understand what Councillor Blundell said. If the owners are willing to maintain the deed of dedication and the area whilst allowing unrestricted use for residents, then I'm sure I could get on board with that. But I would prefer that in writing first of all, so that we understand that it's clear to all the residents that they will still be able to use that area.
Okay, Sultan, you want to come in?
Just to throw another spanner in the works, is there, Peter, is there anything in the dedication controlling future development? Because that could be, we're looking to throw something up on any spare ground, and whether this would be one of them in the future.
No, there isn't anything in the dedication about that. I mean, obviously, the reason why I was able to persuade them to agree to the principle of simply accepting the surrender rather than accepting the surrender once we'd done extensive works to resurface the car park was because I argued that it would increase the value of the precinct for them, because it will be more flexible then in terms of possible redevelopment opportunities. I can't quantify that, the value of that, but it is nevertheless true. But no, there is nothing. There is no restriction. They cannot develop it at the moment because of the deed of dedication, and I would suggest they're unlikely to change, particularly very much the use of the car park, even if they were to redevelop the precinct, which is now what 50 years old, because the car park's going to be at the front, isn't it, generally?
Okay,
Thank you.
I've got Peter, and then
Chair, I might be able
back
to
to
answer that,
Rachel.
Sultan.
Hello.
Sorry, I
Peter
might be able to answer that for Councillor Sultan Ali. There is a sign up at present saying commercial opportunities available. So obviously that is a consideration of the landowner at present, and I'm not aware of any of the businesses that aren't currently in operation. So I'm not sure what the commercial opportunities are that they are advertising at present, and I don't seem to be able to get through to them to ask.
Okay.
Thank you.
Peter Winkler, you wish to make a comment.
Thank you. Just unmute myself. Obviously, it's not my ward to speak on. The ward council have their say. We're next door. All I will say is, as support of what Councillor Massey has said, it's a note of caution. Parking facilities like this are the most valuable thing for communities. They don't just affect that one area. We have exactly the same next door in Norden. The parking is at a premium. I think if this was my ward, I'd be very reluctant to give that away as well.
Okay. Anybody else want to make a comment, question? No. Well, the recommendation is to hear our views. You've heard our views, and I don't know whether Rachel wants to go to cabinet and speak on it there.
And just to be,
I've no, if you want me to come along as well, I will do.
Sorry, Chair, just to be clear, and you're not suggesting that the township will contribute funds towards the maintenance of the car park if it is retained?
Sorry.
I just wish to be clear that the township is not saying that it will contribute towards the ongoing maintenance of the car park if the car park is subsequently retained.
Yeah, yes, that would be I would say that's the consensus.
Okay.
Chair, just final point here, please. Chair, I think the township should not be paying it. It's not just the paying for the maintenance or putting the pothole, it's the subsequent insurance claim as well. And those businesses there are, all of them, I think there's only one shop which is empty, the Bets something. That shop is probably empty. All other units are rented, and the landlord is making a lot of money from there. Why should the council pay for the maintenance and then pay for the insurance claims afterward, Chair? That's the big question, Chair.
You're right, and that's what we're saying is that we want to relinquish this duty to pay for the maintenance of this car park. It is an anomaly within the borough, not just within the township. Parking's a problem everywhere you go. It'll still be a car park unless we're second guessing what may or may not happen. But I'm sure if it's a row of shops, it needs park. It needs subsequent parking. It wasn't built as a overflow car park for residents. It was built as for people to visit those shops, buy something, and then disappear. So there's still parking at the front of the health centre, which isn't part of it. Looking at the map, so that's. I don't want to. I can't see why we would want to be liable for this, especially the insurance claim, because funnily enough, that's what happened when we discussed it and discussed the liability. suddenly an insurance claim came in. So you can work that one out yourselves. But that's what happened, and it was for a substantial amount, and it isn't in those lists of maintenance. Rachel.
Chair, can we ask legal to clarify why we would be liable for any injuries and claims with regards to the car park if we don't actually own it? Should that not be the liability of the owner?
It's our liability because we are liable to maintain it. And we are legally obligated to the owner to undertake the maintenance. That's why the council is liable for that.
Is that clearly stated in the deed, Peter? That's not something
It's
that
clearly
I've read in
stated.
the deed.
It's clearly stated in the deed that we are responsible for maintenance.
Yes, but not for any injury.
But if we fail to fulfil our obligations to maintain under that contract, which is a contract with the owner, then potentially we are liable. Presumably, actually, thinking about it, the liability would fall on the member of the public to the owner, but then the owner could then pass that liability onto the council because we'll be in breach of contract.
So in theory, they're both somehow jointly and severably liable together. I'm just asking, I'm seeking clarification to make absolutely sure that it is clear before it goes to cabinet that we know what we're discussing.
I'm absolutely convinced, because we are contractually obligated to maintain the car park, that if we didn't and someone hurt themselves and they then sued the owner could sue us for breach of contract.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Holly, saw your hand up.
I just want to confirm. Oh, probably still on mute. Oh, okay. Just want to concur with Councillor Arner that I don't think we should be spending township money, in terms of maintaining the state of the car park. It's an anomaly. I understand the issue with regards to Councillor Massey's concerns of the locality, but in tough financial times, which we will have going forwards, I don't think it's something we should be supporting.
Okay. Is there anybody else want to make a comment? So, go on.
I'd just like to make one final point. This is why it come back to Township. I wanted to hear all these views, and I will take on board what Councillor Massey and the others have said. I'll speak to Peter outside of the meeting, and I'll make sure all these views are heard at cabinet. That's why I came tonight.
Okay, thanks, John. And I don't know if you can invite Rachel to go along to that meeting.
Yeah, no problem, and I'll speak to her outside the meeting as well, like I already have been.
We're only other one other support of retaining it in its present form. That was Councillor Winkler.
And Councillor Cox.
No, Councillor Cox is in agreement to dispose of it. I think. Am I right there? Am I putting words in your mouth? The thing is, we're not going to vote on it, so that's the views. Mine's a bit of a historic view. What we've had to deal with in the past, and there was a claim against the council. So, it happened, and there it is. And then we kept getting this argument about it being unadopted, and we don't own it. There are examples. You're right, but on this occasion, it's the actual car park. Its use is, like I've said, it's for people to go and park up and go shopping there. That's what its purpose was. People saying, "Oh well, there's yellow lines there. You can use that." That's you know, you can say it, but it's not written in stone, is it? Okay, unless somebody finds the funding for it, I think it's a good proposal. Okay, if you want to take those views to cabinet,
I will do, Chair. Thank you very much.
and I'm sure they'll listen. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's it. That ends the meeting. Thank you all for coming along. Thanks for all your contributions.